There's another technique you'll need to know called the AC method. You'll use this technique if you have a coefficient in front of the x squared. We're going to start by writing our coefficients down and calling them a, b, and c. On the side, we'll write that a is 3, b is -5, and c is -12. What we're going to do is start by multiplying a times c. We'll do this now. If we say a times c, that's the same thing as saying 3 times -12. This will give us -36. Now that we know this, let's try to think of two numbers that multiply to -36, but add to the b term, that's -5. Let's do some experimentation by splitting -36 into two numbers. That -36 could split into -36 and +1. If we put those together, we get -35. However, that does not match our middle term, so that's a miss. So let's try something else. We could try -18 and +2. If we add those together, though, we'll get -16. That misses again. Let's now try -12 and +3. If you multiply those together, that will give you -36. But if we add them, we get -9. That's a third miss. But let's continue all the same, and now try -9 times +4. -9 times +4 will give us -5, and that's a match. Therefore, our numbers will be -9 and +4. Now that we know what numbers to use, what we'll do is split the b term into the two terms we just came up with. Therefore, the -5x we will split into -9x and +4x. As we just showed, -9 plus 4 is the same thing as -5. Therefore, -9x plus 4x is the same thing as -5x. Now our new expression is 3x squared minus 9x plus 4x minus 12. For the moment, this may look more complicated, but the advantage to this is that we don't have to factor everything at once. We can factor the terms 2 at a time rather than 3 at a time and make our life a little bit easier. We're going to begin by looking at the first pair of terms and see what coefficients they have in common and what powers of x they have in common. If we examine those first two terms, we see we have 3 and -9. So this first pair of terms is divisible by 3. We also see that since they both have x, we could divide by an x also. If we take 3x squared over 3x, the 3's will cancel out, and then x squared over x will give us x. That's the same thing as saying second power minus first power. If we do the same thing to the next term, we'll have minus 9x, but divide by 3x. -9 over 3 will give us -3, and then x over x will cancel out directly. So our first new parentheses is x minus 3, with the 3x we divided by on the outside. We will now repeat this for the second pair. For our second pair, we'll have 4x and -12. Notice that only one of them has x, so there is no x that we can divide. However, both numbers are divisible by 4. Therefore, we will divide by 4. We will take 4x divided by 4 and -12 divided by 4. In the first term, the 4's will drop out. 4 divided by 4 cancels out and gives us 1. Therefore, we'll have just x. And then -12 over 4 gives us -3. Since we divided by 4, we'll write that on the outside, and we will show that that is positive 4. This may look more complicated than when we started still, but it's about to look a lot better here in a moment. Now that we have these terms in front of the parentheses, we may notice that the parentheses are the same. At this point, that's what's supposed to happen. If your parentheses terms are different, it means usually there's something else you could have factored. Now that we're here with the same parentheses, what we'll do is take the terms from in front of the parentheses and give them their own new parentheses. Here's how it will work. We will take the 3x from in front of the first parentheses and the positive 4 from the other and package them in their own new parentheses, placing 3x plus 4. Now the x minus 3's that were next to it get their own parentheses, and we'll say times x minus 3. I will caution you, that repeated term, strangely enough, is only written once. This is because our original expression was second power, therefore we have to make sure we have only 2 x's. That's how we know that this is as far as we can go because we have the proper number of x's. Our final answer will be 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.